In our last session, we heard the following from a Real Love Institute member.
Dear Greg, I got up early this morning and cleaned up the kitchen before I went to work. I thought my wife would like that. Well, and then I ironed a shirt for work, but by that time it was getting late, so I left the ironing board in the kitchen. When I got home, did she say a word about my cleaning the kitchen? Oh no, she stood there and pointed at the ironing board in the kitchen and asked me why I'd left it there. Unbelievable. She could have just put it away in less than a minute, but instead, she left it in the middle of the kitchen all day just so she could tell me to put it away. She does this all the time. She doesn't appreciate anything I do, but she whines about every mistake I make. I told her she was ungrateful and demanding, and we argued for quite a while. I hate these arguments, but we keep having them. How can I get her to stop nagging me and be more appreciative?
In our last session, we established that both you and your wife lack sufficient real love in your lives. So you've been trading in imitation love, hoping that you'd find happiness. But of course, that never works. We talked about your genuinely listening to her and learning to talk about your own mistakes rather than pointing out hers. Now, in this session, we'll get more specific about the actions that you could take in a similar situation. Let's go back to the moment that you walked in the door after work, and there she was in the kitchen, pointing accusingly at the ironing board and demanding to know why you were inconsiderate when you left it there. How could you do this differently? First, you're not thinking about how you cleaned up the kitchen earlier that morning. You're not thinking about how you go to work every day to make it possible for her to have a place to live, or any of the many other things that you've done for her, because all those thoughts are about what you want. Gratitude, appreciation, recognition. You can't be thinking about what you want and at the same time be genuinely listening to her. So, instead, you genuinely focus on her, and instantly you understand that she's telling you she doesn't feel loved as a result of what you did. When you left the ironing board in the middle of the kitchen, you were not thinking about her. And because your focus is on how you can be more loving toward her, you are not offended that she's attacking you. You recognize that she's just drowning, and attacking you is the only way she knows to get your attention and to feel less helpless. Seeing her as drowning, you walk over to her, put your arms around her, and say, I really should have put that away this morning. I wasn't thinking about you when I did that. Then you put the ironing board away. Come back to her, put your arms around her again, and ask her how her day went. Now, at this point, how likely do you think it is that she'll continue an argument with you? This is not a manipulative technique or trick. You're simply genuinely listening to your wife, the most important person in your life, the one you promised that you would learn to love, and you're telling the truth about a mistake you made. Your wife has many faults, so do you, but you'll never benefit from pointing them out while you're not unconditionally loving. As you listen to her and love her, she'll lose her need to defend herself. It's very likely that she'll also become grateful and considerate. And if you're consistently loving, she'll feel safe around you. And in that condition, you might actually be able to point out occasional mistakes that she makes. Listen to her and love her. Instead of being right, do the right thing, which always means being loving. Feeling offended and defending ourselves is selfish and never leads to happiness. As you practice loving your wife, the rewards will be beyond description. The only way you can know these rewards, though, is to practice loving, no matter how she behaves. You'll be very glad you did. You'll be so glad that you remembered that it's always about real love.